The whistle blew, and the stadium erupted in chaos. My cleats skidded across the turf as I slammed into the rival quarterback, his helmet cracking against mine like thunder. But in that split second, amid the roar, I caught a glimpse of him. Elias, my quiet classmate from AP Lit, slipping a crumpled scarlet pennant under his jacket in the bleachers. His face pale as if he'd been caught stealing souls. "Traitor," the crowd hissed later, but all I could hear was the echo of his whisper from class that morning. "Win for me, Jake, please." I didn't know why those words haunted me as I showered off the mud that night, steam clouding the locker room mirrors, my teammates slapping backs and chugging Gatorade like we'd conquered empires. Elias Rivera. Skinny kid with ink-stained fingers and eyes like storm clouds over Lake Michigan. Had always been a ghost in the halls of Lincoln High, the kind of guy who quoted Whitman during lunch while the rest of us scarfed burgers. We'd shared a desk in third period for months, our knees brushing accidentally under the table, but I'd never really seen him until that game. Until Principal Hargrove dragged him into the office the next day, his suspension notice fluttering like a scarlet letter. Undue allegiance to the opposing faction. Disruptive to school spirit. The hallways buzzed with it by noon. "Freak's a spy," muttered Brody, my linebacker buddy, slamming his locker so hard the whole row rattled. Cheering for East Side? In our bleachers? Kids got balls. I'll give him that. East Side was our arch-nemesis, the private academy across the river in Chicago sprawl, all trust fund jocks and ivy-covered walls. But Elias wasn't from there. He was one of us, a scholarship kid from the South Side, scraping by on late shifts at his uncle's bodega. Why risk everything for them? For me? The question gnawed at me like a bad hit, leaving bruises I couldn't explain. By the time the final bell rang, I was a mess. Jersey still half-tucked from morning practice, heart pounding like overtime. I told myself it was the adrenaline, the high of our 28-21 victory, but deep down I knew better. Elias's eyes had locked on mine across the field just before the bust, wide and pleading, like he was cheering not for the team, but for something rawer, something unspoken. I grabbed my backpack and bolted for the parking lot, the November wind off Lake Michigan whipping my hair into chaos. His locker was empty when I swung by, padlock dangling like a broken promise, but a scrap of notebook paper fluttered out, caught in the draft. "See you in the stacks?" The school library was a relic, all dusty oak shelves and fluorescent hum, tucked in the basement like a forgotten dream. I pushed through the doors at 4:15 sharp, the scent of old paper and rain-soaked coats hitting me like a memory I didn't own. Elias was there, of course, curled in the back corner by the poetry section, knees drawn up, a dog-eared copy of Leaves of Grass open on his lap. He looked smaller without the fluorescent glare of class. His dark curls tousled, olive skin flushed from the chill seeping through the concrete walls. When he saw me, he froze, books slipping to the floor with a soft thud. "Jake!" he breathed, voice cracking like thin ice. "You came." I dropped into the chair across from him, the wooden legs scraping loud enough to echo. "Suspension starts tomorrow." "What the hell, man? You could have gotten away with it, whispering under your breath, whatever, but waving that flag? In the open." He laughed, bitter and low, rubbing his palms over his jeans like he could scrub away the shame. "It wasn't about East Side. Not really." His eyes flicked up, holding mine for the first time without flinching. Hazel flecked with gold, pulling me in like the undertow at Montrose Beach. "It was you, out there owning the field." I couldn't not cheer, even if it meant this. My throat tightened, words tangling like bad plays. I'd always been the golden boy of Lincoln High, quarterback since freshman year, homecoming king in the making, the kid whose dad coached Pee Wee leagues and whose mom baked pies for every Booster Club bake sale. Straight-A jock, they called me, with a wink that hid the cracks. The pressure to be perfect, the fear of fumbling not just the ball but everything. Elias? He was the wild card, the poet scribbling sonnets in the margins of his chem notes, the one who volunteered at the PFLAG meetings downtown but never talked about it. I'd seen the rainbow pin on his backpack once, dismissed it as artsy flair. Now it burned in my mind. "You did that for me?" I leaned forward, elbows on knees, close enough to smell his soap, clean, like pine and rain. Why? Because you're worth rooting for, he said simply, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Not the team, not the score. You. The library clock ticked like a heartbeat, too loud in the silence. I wanted to bolt, tell him he was crazy, that this was some fever dream from too many hits to the head. But his gaze held me, vulnerable and fierce, and something shifted inside, a fault line cracking open. I dated girls. Cheerleaders with glossy lips and easy laughs. But it had always felt scripted, like blocking for a play I didn't believe in. With Elias, it was uncharted, electric, terrifying. Tell me about it, I said finally, voice rough. The cheering, the risk, all of it. He hesitated, then unfolded like a secret. It started small, he said, freshman year, when he'd first spotted me in the halls, all broad shoulders and quiet intensity, not the cocky stereotype I hid behind. He'd watched from the shadows, heart racing at pep rallies, memorizing my jersey number like a prayer. Last summer, he'd confessed to his uncle about being gay, the words spilling out over tamales in their cramped kitchen. His uncle had nodded, pulled him into a hug, but warned, "This town's got teeth, Mijo. Keep it close." So Elias did until the game when the dam broke. He'd snuck the East Side flag from a thrift store bin. A stupid symbol, because he knew no one would suspect him rooting for rivals. But when I threw that Hail Mary, threading the needle through double coverage, he couldn't hold back. The pennant waved once, twice, enough for Hargrove's eagle eyes to spot it from the sidelines. As he talked, the basement felt smaller, the air thicker, like we were the only two souls in Chicago's underbelly. I listened, really listened, for the first time in years, not to impress, not to win, but because his voice wove through me like a melody I hadn't known I was missing. When he finished, tears glistening unshed, I reached across the table, my hand covering his. Rough quarterback palm against his artist's fingers, calluses on silk. He didn't pull away. "I'm sorry," I whispered, "for not seeing you sooner." He turned his hand, lacing our fingers, a spark jumping where skin met skin. "You're seeing me now." That night, I drove home through the sodium glow of the Dan Ryan Expressway, his touch lingering like a phantom ache. My truck's radio crackled with post-game highlights, but I switched it off, letting the city lights blur into constellations. Mom was in the kitchen when I walked in, apron dusted with flour, humming Sinatra. "Big win, champ," she said, sliding a plate of meatloaf my way. Dad clapped my shoulder from the recliner, eyes on the TV replay. "That's my boy, unstoppable." I forced a grin, shoveled food, but the words stuck. Unstoppable. What if I wasn't? What if this pull toward Elias was the real fumble, the one that could cost me everything? The scholarship scouts circling like hawks, the legacy Dad pinned on me like a badge. I crashed early, but sleep dodged me, his face flickering behind my eyelids. Laughing in class, defiant on the bleachers, soft in the library stacks. Monday dawned gray, the kind of Chicago winter tease that promised snow but delivered sleet. Elias's desk sat empty in AP Lit, a void that echoed louder than Coach's whistle. Whispers slithered through the rows. Fags probably crying in his rainbow cave. I clenched my fist around my pen, ink blotting the page. After class, I cornered Brody in the gym, weights clanging like accusations. "You hear about Elias?" I asked, casual as spotting a bench press. Brody grunted, racking the bar. "Yeah, dumbass move. Why? You defending him now? Just doesn't seem right. Suspension for cheering? It's a game, man." He eyed me, sweat beading on his brow. "Loyalty's everything, Jake. You know that. Or you turning soft on us?" I laughed it off, but the barb lodged deep. Loyalty. To the team, the town, the script. That afternoon, I skipped practice, first time ever, and biked to his uncle's bodega on 47th Street. The wind slicing through my hoodie like judgment. The bell jingled as I pushed inside, shelves crammed with Goya beans and faded prayer candles. Elias was behind the counter, restocking cigarettes, his back stiffening at the sight of me. "Jake? What are you?" "Missed you in Lit," I said, leaning on the counter, heart hammering. Mrs. Keller droned on about metaphors. I kept thinking of that Whitman line you quoted last week. I sing the body electric. He flushed, a smile tugging despite himself. You're quoting poetry now? Football boys gone rogue. Blame you. I glanced around, the store empty, save for the hum of the cooler. Can we talk? Outside. We ended up on the stoop, concrete steps worn smooth by generations. The L train rumbling overhead like distant thunder. He wrapped his arms around his knees, hoodie zipped to his chin. 3 days. That's all they gave me. For undermining spirit. As if my voice could drown out the whole damn band. It's bullshit, I said fiercely. Hargrove's just flexing. Old school prick. Elias shrugged, but his eyes softened. It's not the suspension. Knowing they saw me, really saw me, for the first time, and it was like I'd poisoned the well. I shifted closer, our shoulders brushing. They didn't see you, not the real you. The one who sees me, not the QB, not the poster boy. Just Jake. He turned, breath mingling with mine in the cold air. And what does Jake want? The question hung, heavy as the snowflakes starting to spit from the sky. I wanted to tell him everything. The loneliness under the cheers, the way his laugh in class lit something dormant, the fear twisting my gut like a bad snap count. Instead, I cupped his cheek, thumb tracing the curve of his jaw, and kissed him. Soft at first, tentative like testing a frozen pond. Then deeper, his lips parting with a sigh that tasted like mint and courage. The world narrowed to that. His hand fisting my shirt, the train's whoosh fading to white noise, the spark igniting into flame. When we broke apart, foreheads pressed, he whispered, "This could ruin us both." "I know," I murmured back, "but worth it." His grin was sunrise. Every yard. We met like that for days. Stolen hours in the stacks. Walks along the lakefront where the waves crashed like confessions. His hand in mine hidden under shared coats. He read me poems under the bean downtown, silver bean reflecting our tangled silhouettes, and I taught him to throw a spiral in empty lots. His awkward tosses dissolving into laughter. It was fragile, this thing blooming between us. Petals of trust unfurling in the frost, but it felt like home, the kind I'd never known. Then came the betrayal, sharp as a blindside sack. It was Friday, 2 weeks post-suspension, the air electric with playoff fever. I'd snuck out after curfew, climbing the fire escape to Elias's window above the bodega. The city a glittering beast below. He pulled me inside, room a cocoon of posters and scattered notebooks, fairy lights strung like stars. We talked for hours about his mom's deportation when he was 10, the ache of her letters from Juarez, about my parents' divorce, the way Dad poured it all into football dreams. Vulnerability stripped us bare, and when he kissed me this time, it was hungrier, hands roaming with the permission of secrets shared. But as dawn crept in, his phone buzzed on the nightstand. He glanced at it, face draining of color. "Shit." "What?" I sat up, sheets pooling. He handed it over, screen glowing with a text from an unknown number. "Saw you with the QB last night. East Side's got eyes everywhere. Keep cheering, traitor or else." My blood iced. "East Side? How?" "I don't know." Panic edged his voice. "Maybe someone followed me. Or, God, Jake, if this gets out." It did, faster than a fumbled handoff. By Monday, rumors swirled like Lake Michigan fog. Elias wasn't just a fan. He was a plant. A mole feeding plays to East Side for some underground bet ring. Anonymous tips flooded Hargrove's inbox. Photos grainy but damning. Me and him on the lakefront, hands linked. The fire escape shadow play. The team turned on me overnight. Brody's glare in the locker room could curdle milk. Coach pulling me aside with a voice like gravel. "Distraction, son. Cut it loose, or you're benched." Worse was Dad. He stormed the kitchen that night, newspaper folded to the sports page, eyes red-rimmed. "What the hell's this, Jake? That kid's using you, spying? For Christ's sake. Your legacy." "It's not like that." I exploded, chair scraping back. "Elias isn't." Save it. He jabbed the table. Football's family. Blood. It's betrayal. Mom hovered in the doorway, silent tears tracking her flour-dusted cheeks. The house, once warm with meatloaf and highlights, cracked under the weight. I raced to the bodega, heart a war drum. Elias was packing shelves, movements jerky, Uncle watching with shadowed eyes. "We need to talk," I gasped. His face crumpled. "Jake, it's over. They know. And there's more." He led me to the back room, voice trembling. "That text? It wasn't random. Last summer I worked odd jobs for some East Side kids. Tutoring, nothing big. But one guy, Trent, he's got connections, gambling shit. He heard I was into you, started pressuring me. Cheer for us, or your secret's out. The flag was his idea, a test. I did it to protect you, to throw them off. But it backfired. Betrayal hit like a gut punch. Not his, but the world's, twisting our fragile thing into knots. You could have told me. And risk you hating me?" Tears spilled now, hot and unashamed. I was scared. Of losing this. Of losing you. I pulled him close, his sobs muffled against my chest. "You think I'd run? After everything?" But the storm raged on. Hargrove called an assembly Tuesday. The gym packed with wary eyes. "Unity," he boomed from the podium, "is our shield against division." Subtext screamed. Elias was the enemy, and by association so was I. Scouts pulled back, whispers of distractions in their emails. Dad stopped speaking to me beyond grunts at breakfast. Even Mom, with her quiet faith, suggested space over coffee. Her Bible opened to Proverbs like armor. Elias vanished after that. Phone dead, bodega shifts covered by his uncle. I hunted him down at the lake, waves churning under slate skies, wind howling like accusations. He was there on our bench, staring at the horizon where water met steel mills. "They're sending me back to my abuela's in Milwaukee," he said without preamble, voice hollow. "Uncle says it's safer. Away from this." "No." I dropped beside him, gripping his arm. "Fight it. We fight together." He shook his head, curls whipping. "You don't get it, Jake. This town's a machine, grinds dreamers to dust. I betrayed you by not telling. You deserve the field, the cheers, not some half-hidden mess." "You're not a mess," I roared over the gale, standing to face him, salt spray stinging our faces. "You're the only real thing I've got. The rest? It's noise." He surged up, kissing me fierce against the storm. Teeth and tongue and desperation, hands fisting my jacket like lifelines. We broke apart gasping, foreheads clashing. "Then what?" he demanded. "We run? Hide forever?" The climax crested then, raw and unrelenting. Behind us, tires crunched, Brody's truck, headlights piercing the dusk like interrogators. He piled out with two others, faces twisted in righteous fury. "Knew it," Brody snarled, phone raised, recording. "Traitor and his boyfriend. Coach'll love this." Elias shoved me behind him, slight frame quaking but unyielding. "Leave him out of it." Brody laughed, cold as the wind. Too late. Whole teams watching the live stream. My world tilted, betrayal doubled, tripled. Not just Elias's half-truth, but my so-called brothers, turning blades on the boy who'd cracked me open. I lunged, tackling Brody to the gravel, fists flying in a blur of rage and grief. "You don't know shit." Punches landed, dull thuds echoing, until the others pulled us apart, sirens wailing distant. Cops came, statements taken under sodium lamps. Elias shielded me still, lying about the fight's spark, taking the brunt. By night's end, I was grounded eternal, he was expelled. Full stop, no appeal. Dad's silence stretched to infinity. Mom's prayers whispered through closed doors. The fallout buried us. Playoffs loomed, but I sat the bench, a ghost in pads, every snap a reminder of what loyalty cost. Elias left for Milwaukee 2 days later, a greyhound swallowing him whole at Union Station. His last text, "Sing the body electric, Jake. For both of us." Winter clamped down, Chicago's iron grip mirroring my own. I wandered the stacks alone, tracing his marginalia in Whitman, barbaric yop underlined thrice. Dad thawed slowly, over late-night ESPN, a grunted proud of your fight, the closest to apology. Mom baked tamales one Sunday, for when he visits. Her eyes saying what words couldn't. Spring broke eventually, tentative as first downs. I led Lincoln to semis, not for glory, but for the ghost cheering in my head. Scouts returned, wary but intrigued by the comeback kid. Graduation came in a blur of caps and gowns, Lake Michigan sparkling like absolution. Then summer solstice, longest day, shortest goodbye stretched eternal. A letter arrived, postmarked Milwaukee. Elias's handwriting, looping and alive. Milwaukee's got waves too, and space to breathe. Come see? I drove north that weekend, windows down, Springsteen blasting Thunder Road like prophecy. The city unfolded breweries and harbors. His abuela's bungalow a riot of marigolds. He waited on the porch, leaner but brighter, curls sun-kissed. We didn't speak at first, just walked the breakwater, hands brushing, waves lapping confessions. I messed up, he said finally, stopping to face me. Hiding. But I learned, love's not a secret to guard. It's a flag to wave. I pulled him close, the sun dipping gold. Then let's wave it. Together. It wasn't perfect, no Hollywood fade to credits. I headed to state on scholarship, him to community college with poetry dreams. Weekends blurred between cities, calls bridging the miles. Betrayal scars lingered. Trust a fragile play, but they toughened us, wove us tighter. Dad met him once, over backyard burgers, gruff nod evolving to questions about sonnets. Mom sent care packages, rainbow cookies tucked inside. Years folded like game film. Me in the prose shadow, minor leagues grinding. Him publishing chapbooks, voice rising in open mics. We built a life in fragments. Chicago apartment smelling of bodega spices and fresh ink. Lake views framing our chaos. In the end, it was humanistic, not heroic. Two boys from the bleachers, cheering each other through the roar. No grand tragedies, just quiet victories. The body electric, sung in tandem, under endless American skies. The drive to Milwaukee felt like crossing state lines in more ways than one. Illinois plates giving way to Wisconsin's dairy dreams. My truck's engine humming a nervous rhythm against the hum of uncertainty. Elias's letter burned in my pocket, edges worn from rereads. The lake here's colder, but the sunsets, they scream your name. I'd laughed at that. First time in months. The sound startling in my empty room. Graduation had come and gone. A whirlwind of forced smiles and hollow hugs. My diploma crisp but meaningless without him there to steal a kiss in the chaos. Abuela's house squatted on a tree-lined street in Bayview, the kind of neighborhood where porches sagged with history and kids biked barefoot till dusk. I parked curbside, engine ticking cool, and there he was, leaning on the railing, a book balanced on his knee, looking up with that half-smile that unraveled me. Quarterback makes house call, he teased, descending the steps in faded Levi's and a threadbare Badgers tee, curls wild from the breeze off the bay. Poet plays host, I shot back, unfolding from the cab. We collided in a hug that lingered too long for neighbors' eyes. His frame solid now, months of Milwaukee air filling him out, my arms wrapping like they'd never let go. He smelled of salt and sage, Abuela's herb garden mingling with the lake's brine. Inside, the house enveloped us in warmth. Walls papered in saints and sepia photos, air thick with simmering pozole. Abuela Rivera. Tiny dynamo with silver braids and eyes sharp as switchblades. Sized me up from her rocker, rosary clicking. So, you're the trouble, she said in accented English, but her wink betrayed affection. Elias flushed, muttering Spanish apologies, but she waved him off, ladling bowls at the scarred oak table. Eat. Love needs fuel. We did, spoons clinking like toasts, stories spilling between bites. He told of Milwaukee's pulse, art crawls in the Third Ward, pickup games on Bradford Beach where he dodged questions about Chicago with vague grins. It's healing, he admitted, foot nudging mine under the table. No whispers, just Space. I shared the bench time blues, coach's reluctant reinstatement, dad's thawing grunts evolving to actual talks over White Sox games. He asked about you once, I said. Wanted to know if you still read that Grass guy. Whitman, Elias corrected, grin flashing. Tell him yes, and that you're my barbaric yop. Abuela chuckled, clearing plates with efficient grace. Poets and players. Dios. Sounds like a telenovela. She left us to the porch swing then, creaking under our weight as dusk painted the sky in bruise purples and fire oranges. Fireflies winked like conspirators, the lake a distant murmur. His head found my shoulder, hand tracing lazy circles on my knee. Missed this, he murmured. Us. Quiet. Me too. I turned, lips brushing his temple. But it's not just quiet. Us against the noise. We kissed slow, sunset gilding our edges, the world shrinking to porch light and firefly glow. No rush, no storm, just rediscovery, tongues mapping familiar paths with new reverence. When we pulled apart, breathless, he whispered, "Stay the night." Abuela's guest room was a shrine to excess. Chenille bedspread, doilies on every surface, a crucifix winking from the wall. We tumbled in laughing, shedding clothes like old skins, but it stayed tender, bodies entwined under quilts, whispers weaving dreams. No fire, just embers. No conquest, just communion. Sleep came easy, his heartbeat my lullaby. Morning broke with coffee and conscious, Abuela's interrogation veiled in hospitality. You play football still? Good arms for carrying wood. Elias rolled his eyes, but I caught the subtext. Approval, hard won. We spent the day wandering. Milwaukee Riverwalk alive with buskers and kayaks. His hand in mine bold now, no hiding. At the art museum, we lingered by Calder's mobiles, steel feathers dancing like our suspended hearts. This, he said, nodding at the whirl, is us, balanced chaos. Evening found us at a bonfire on the beach, locals strumming guitars, flames crackling secrets. Elias read from his chapbook, verses raw with lake light and lost cheers, and I watched, chest swelling, as strangers leaned in, captivated. One grizzled vet clapped my back after, "Your boy's got fire. Hold tight." I did, pulling him onto my lap as stars pricked the velvet sky, his laughter bubbling like waves. The drive back Sunday ached, miles stretching like goodbyes. We vowed calls, visits, a roadmap sketched in sand. "This is real," he said at the door, kiss fierce. "No more half measures." College hit like a freshman haze. State University's campus a sprawl of brick and ambition, and Arbor's autumn leaves carpeting paths to my dorm. I majored in kinesiology, football, a lifeline threading classes, and conditioning. Teammates ribbed my poet phase, but the hazing softened when I threw for 300 yards in the opener. Wolverines faithful roaring like Lake Michigan gales. Off-field, Elias's voice anchored me. Late-night FaceTimes, his Milwaukee skyline framing tired smiles. "Read this," he'd say, tilting the screen to dog-eared pages, and I'd quote back, butchering rhythms but earning his grin. Winter break brought me north again, snow blanketing Bayview in hush. Abuela's tamales waited, spiced with stories of her youth in Michoacan. Love stolen in orchards, risks taken under moonlit branches. "Hearts don't follow maps, Mijo," she told me over cocoa, Elias translating with affectionate eye rolls. We shoveled walks together, breaths clouding, then warmed in his room. Bodies rediscovering in flannel sheets, touches reverent as prayers. But conflict simmered, insidious as frostbite. Spring semester, a scout from the Bears pinged my agent. Pro dreams flickering real. Dad beamed over Easter ham. "This is it, son. Legacy locked." Elias cheered via text. "Throw it deep, QB." But his voice carried strain, gigs at local cafes barely covering books. "Proud," he'd say, but shadows lingered, unspoken fears of diverging paths. It boiled over Memorial Day, me crashing his Milwaukee reading in a Smoky Walker's Point bar. He slayed verses on hidden cheers and electric bodies drawing whoops. But post-set, A fan lingered too long. Hand on Elias's arm, eyes hungry. Jealousy flared, irrational as a red flag, and I snapped when we hit the street. "Who's that?" He bristled, street lamp casting his face in stark relief. "A reader, Jake. Not everything's a play. It's not that, it's..." Words failed, old insecurities roaring. "You're here, grinding, and I'm... What if the league calls? What if I leave you in the dust?" He stopped, turning to face me, rain starting to spit. "Then we adapt. Like waves. But you think I'd hold you back? After everything?" "No," guilt twisted. "It's me. Scared I'll fumble us." His laugh was soft, pained. "We're not a game, Jake. We're the whole damn field." He cupped my face, rain mingling with tears. "Trust the play." We made up in his bed, storm raging outside, bodies a counterpoint, slow, affirming, reaffirming vows in sighs and shudders. Dawn brought clarity. Love wasn't possession, but partnership, two halves calling audibles. Summer deepened the bond, me training in Chicago, him interning at a lit mag, weekends fusing our worlds. Dad invited him to a Cubs game, awkward hot dogs evolving to sideline chats about strategy, poetry's metaphors mirroring plays. Mom knitted him a scarf, rainbow threads woven secret. Even Brody texted an olive branch. "Heard you're a sap. Beers?" Redemption's arc, slow but sure. Fall playoffs loomed. State's undefeated streak a pressure cooker. Elias surprised me at homecoming. Backstage pass slung round his neck, grin brighter than the floodlights. We stole moments in the equipment shed, his whispers fueling my arm. 400 yards, 2 picks, victory sealed. Post-game, under stadium lights, he kissed me bold. Cameras flashing, crowd a distant hum. No hiding now, the world could cheer or jeer. But betrayal's echo lingered, a ghost in the machine. Mid-season, Trent resurfaced. An Eastside alum turned sleazy agent, email dripping venom. "Still got that flag, boy? I could make your pro dreams. Or break 'em. Leverage, QB. Photos attached, old ones, us on the lake, twisted to imply scandal. Panic clawed. I told Elias over frantic call, his voice steel. "Forward it to your coach. We fight clean." Confrontation came swift. Coach's office, Dad pacing like a caged lion. "This scum. I'll bury him." Legal wheels turned, restraining orders filed, Trent slinking back to shadows. The scandal fizzled, media spun it as youthful rivalry. But it bonded us fiercer, vulnerabilities forge. Bowl season crowned it. Rose Bowl glory, my spiral sealing the win, Elias in the stands waving our flag. Lincoln scarlet, no secrets. Confetti rained, his hug crushing, tears salt on my lips. "We did it," he breathed. Not the end, but a halftime show. Lives diverging yet entwined. Pro camps for me, MFA dreams for him. Humanistic triumph. 2 souls from bleacher whispers, cheering eternal. The Rose Bowl confetti clung like glitter to our skins, stadium lights fading to airport fluorescence, as Elias and I navigated LAX throng, hands linked against the jostle. "Ever think we'd be here?" he asked, boarding pass crinkling in his free hand. His flight to Milwaukee a reluctant tether. "Confetti cowboys?" I grinned, pulling him into a alcove by the gates. "Nah, but you in the stands? That was the real MVP call." Our kiss was airport soft, mindful of prying eyes but unapologetic, his curls tickling my forehead. He boarded with a wave, promise of Christmas in his eyes. I flew home to Chicago, bowl ring heavy on my finger. Dad's bear hug at O'Hare tighter than linebacker's grip. "Saw him cheering," he grunted over post-flight pizza. "Kids got heart." Progress, pizza sauce simple. Pro camp loomed summer's end. Bears minicamp in Bourbonnais. Cornfields whispering futures. I reported lean and laser-focused, playbook memorized like scripture. Teammates eyed the poet-boyfriend rumors with smirks. But a veteran corner, Jamal, clapped my pad. "Love's the best trainer, Rook. Keeps you honest." Elias visited weekends, turning motel rooms into sanctuaries. Readings from his growing chapbook stack, my head in his lap as he traced plays on my skin like tattoos. His world expanded too. Acceptance to an MFA program at Northwestern, Chicago-bound, our apartment hunt a rom-com montage of leaky faucets and landlord haggling. We settled on a Wicker Park walk-up, third floor with fire escape views of the L. His bookshelves mingling with my trophies, a rainbow flag tacked defiant over the couch. Fall settled us in me grinding OTAs, him in seminars dissecting Joyce. Evenings blurred domestic, him cooking arroz con pollo, me burning toast but earning laughs. Movie nights with broke-back echoes, discussions deep as the lake. Intimacy evolved, layered now with shared mundane. His hands steadying me through injury scares, my shoulder for his imposter pangs. Conflict brewed subtle, autumn's chill seeping cracks. A Bears starter, out with a hammy, leaked to the press. Rooks distracted, too busy with the Bard. Headlines splashed, quarterback's queer quandary. Sensational slop that twisted our quiet into spectacle. Dad fielded calls from old boosters, voice strained. Ignore the noise, son. Mom prayed doubles. Sent clippings clipped with optimism notes. Elias bore it worse. MFA peers whispering in halls. Token story? He channeled it to verse, readings raw with betrayal's bite. But doubt gnawed. Late nights staring at ceilings, my arms his anchor. Am I holding you back? He'd murmur, vulnerability a knife twist. Never. I'd affirm, kisses mapping reassurances. You're the line. I follow you. Thanksgiving tested us. His family gathering in Milwaukee, Abuela's table groaning under turkey and traditions, my parents driving up tentative. Awkward silences bridged by Abuela's toasts. To loves that endure storms. Dad and Elias bonded over Packers talk. Rivalry ribbing easing to respect, while Mom and Abuela swapped rosary tales, faiths intertwining. Christmas glittered. Tree in our walk-up strung with lights he'd salvaged from thrift bins. Gifts wrapped in newsprint. I gave him a leather-bound journal, spine-embossed electric body. He, a custom jersey, Rivera 7, scarlet with rainbow stitching. We made love by tree glow, slow and sacred, bells tolling midnight from holy name. New Year dawned ambitious. My preseason buzz building, his first publication in a lit journal, Bleacher Confessions, verses that gut-punched readers. But betrayal's shadow lengthened. Trent, that East Side specter, resurfaced via anonymous email. Congrats on the ink, poet. How's the QB's arm? Leverage lingers. Elias forwarded it, voice steel over coffee. Police this time. No games. Investigation dragged, but closure came swift. Trent pinched in a gambling sting, our names footnotes in his fall. Relief washed, but scars itched. Trust a muscle, flex deliberate. Spring bloomed green. My rookie minicamp ace, scouts purring. His thesis proposal greenlit, spotlight on queer narratives. We celebrated at Montrose, waves lapping our bare feet, his head on my chest. This is the high ground, he said, tracing my ring scars. Worth every sack. Summer sizzled, training camp in Bourbonnais a sweat-soaked forge, Elias commuting with care packages. Tamales, poems, lube winks. Off days, we'd escape to Door County, cherry orchards and lighthouse trails, hands free in progressive air. One dusk, atop a bluff, he dropped to knee. Not ring, but vow. Marry me? Not now, but when the plays align. Tears pricked. Every down. Fall's preseason thrummed. Exhibition wins. My passes threading defenses like fate. Media softened, the poet and the passer profile in out, our story humanized, not spectacle. Fans cheered duel. Rainbow signs in Soldier Field stands, his readings packed postgame. Climax crested week 3. Prime time against the Lions, national eyes. Pre-game jitters amped, Elias's text my talisman. Throw for us. First half flawless, 200 yards, 2 TDs, but third quarter, blindside blitz. Helmet to ribs, world exploding white. I hit turf gasping. Crowds roar muffling to pulse throb. Stadium blur. Trainers hovering, Elias vaulting barriers. How? Face ashen above me. Jake, stay with me. His hand in mine, voice anchor through morphine haze. Carted off, diagnosis cracked rib, season teetering. Hospital vigil. Him pacing linoleum, dad gripping rails, mom murmuring psalms. Fought for you? Elias whispered when alone. Tears hot on my knuckles. Like always. Recovery ground slow. PT a daily duel, couch potato to tentative tosses. Elias read bedside, versus a bomb. We planned futures amid jello cups. Backup roll. I fretted. League's brutal. He squeezed my hand. You're more than yards. You're home. Betrayal's final twist. The hits culprit? A lion vet. Confessed postgame. Trent's payoff. Dirty play for old grudges. League banned him. Headlines howling, but victory soured. Elias's reading spiked with trauma's edge. My arm a question mark. Winter healed incremental. Holiday lights in our walk-up. Abuela visiting with pozole pots. Dad coaching my rehab throws in the yard. Kid's tough, he said of Elias over beers. Like you. Spring's thaw mirrored ours. Clearance for OTAs, his thesis defense aced, publication party packed. We danced slow to Coltrane, bodies synced, scars stories not shackles. Summer sealed it, preseason starter nod, his chapbook launch sold out. Door County return, Bluff-top renewal. Rings exchanged simple, lake witness. Vows echoed waves. In cheers and silences, I choose you. Human arc complete. Not flawless, but forged. From bleacher secrets to field lights. Love's playbook rewritten. Eternal. The wedding was less ceremony, more declaration. A lakeside affair in Door County. Cherry blossoms confetti to our steps. Abuela officiated in spirit. Her rosary looped round our joined hands. While Dad manned the grill, flipping burgers with uncharacteristic flair. To the grooms, he toasted, voice gruff but eyes wet. Mom beside him clutching tissues and tamales. Elias's MFA crew filled benches. Queer bards with typewriters and tattoos. Chanting Whitman as we exchanged vows handwritten on pennant scraps. I pledge my yards to your verses, my heart to your hidden cheers. No paparazzi swarm, just fireflies and fiddles. Our first dance to Thunder Road. Bodies swaying under string lights. That night, in the cabin we'd rented. Pine-scented, quilt-draped. We consummated not with frenzy, but reverence. Touches mapping scars, laughs bubbling between kisses, love a quiet roar. Back in Chicago, married life layered domestic poetry over pro-grind. Our Wicker Park nest evolved, bookshelves groaning. My game tapes stacked beside his manuscripts. A shared desk where I'd diagram plays, he'd ink sonnets. Mornings. Him brewing cafecito, me fumbling eggs. Evenings. Debriefs over takeout, his readings fueling my film sessions. Rookie season proper dawned electric. Season opener at Soldier Field. 60,000 strong under September sun. Elias in the family box. Rainbow scarf defiant. His wave my pre-snap ritual. I threw for 280. 2 picks. Win snatched in OT postgame huddle including him. Mic'd kiss going viral gentle. Love wins. Fame's tide rose steady. Endorsements trickling. Gatorade spots with poet cameos. ESPN features blending gridiron and verse. But undercurrents pulled. A concussion in week 6. Fog clouding plays. Elias's worry a constant vigil. Bench if you need. He'd urge over ice packs. Health's the long game. I pushed, stubborn as Dad's legacy. But week 10's by brought reckoning. A specialist scan. Baseline shifts advising rest. Coach benched me precautionary. Headlines murmuring marriage malaise. Lies stung. But Elias's embrace in the locker room drowned them. This is us winning. His star ascended parallel. Chapbook Scarlet Whispers shortlisted for a Lambda. Readings touring coasts. A San Francisco gig clashed my divisional clash. First fracture post vows. Go! I insisted over airport coffee. Your field. He hesitated, lips brushing mine. Call after every quarter? Every play. Distance tested, calls crackling with ache, his hotel hum, my hotel hush. Post-reading high met my post-win low. Interception glitch. Voices bridging miles. Miss your yawp. He'd tease. easing doubts. Reunion at O'Hare was collision, hug-crushing. Cab ride home, a tangle of limbs and laughter. Never again, we vowed. Ceiling with loft-light lovemaking. City skyline sentinel. Winter's chill bit deeper. Family holidays merged. Milwaukee-Chicago shuttle a tradition. Abuela's health waned. Arthritis gnarling hands that once ladled love. But her stories fortified. Tales of migrant resilience mirroring ours. Dad stepped up, driving her to appointments. Gruff care earning her nod. Good man, your father. New Year's resolution, balance. We joined PFLAG Chicago, his panels on queer lit blending my nil talks on allyship. Youth events where kids asked, how'd you know? Elias's answer, hand in mine. A flag in the bleachers. A look that stuck. Spring's thaw greened hopes. My arm rehabbed strong, starting nod locked. His book deal inked. Advance buying us a down payment dream. But betrayal's specter stirred. An ex-teammate, bitter backup, shopped, tell-all snippets. QB's hubby the real distraction. Tabloids lapped. TMZ twisting truths. Climax brewed. Press conference week 15. Mike's hot. Questions barbed. Comments on the marriage rumors? A reporter probed. I leaned in, Elias's ring glinting. My husband's my edge. Period. Flashbulbs popped, but offstage his squeeze said team. The game was Armageddon, Monday Night Football, Packers rivalry, Lambeau's frozen hell. Pre-game, Elias slipped me a note in my locker. Cheer secret. You're my Hail Mary. I taped it inside my pad. Talisman against tundra. First half, surgical 150 yards, touchdown to Mooney. Halftime, lead slim, wind howling doubts. Third quarter, sackfest, ribs screaming old ghosts, score flipping. Fourth, down by 7, 2:30 left, no timeouts. Huddle. This one's for us? I barked, eyes locking brothers in arms. Snap. Pocket collapsing, I rolled right, Trent's echo in the blitz, dropped shoulder, threaded needle over double coverage. Mooney hauls, 40 yards, crowds roar thawing Lambeau. Spike, huddle, one more. Final drive. Clock ticking, hearts pounding. Audible post pattern, fade to the end zone. Release. Spiral perfect, leather slicing wind. Caught tiptoe. Touchdown. Uproar eternal. Overtime sealed. Confetti blizzard. Elias vaulting sidelines. Hug seismic. Kiss unscripted. Broadcast gold. Post-game. Green room glow. Knew you had it, he breathed, salt sweat mingling. Off-season bloomed restorative. Beach runs on Oak Street. His book tour synced to my camps. Abuela rallied, visiting with quilts stitched stories. Our square rainbow threaded. Dad retired coaching. Took up fishing. Elias tagging along. Teach me hooks, not spirals. Summer's heat forged futures. My contract extension, his debut reading at Printers Row Lit Fest. Sold out. Standing O. Door County anniversary. Bluff vows renewed. Lake lapping promises. Fall's sophomore slate. Superstardom whispers, but grounded weekly date nights. His verses my pre-game right. Conflict crested minor. A road trip clash. My frustration spilling post-loss. Sometimes I miss the simple. Just us. No lights. He pulled me close in the hotel dim. Lights show us brighter. But simple's here. Lovemaking mended, bodies bridges. Winter's gift. Surprise at ultrasounds? No, Abuela's remission party. Toasts to endurance. Spring. Book launch bash. My forward read aloud. Tears collective. Climax's echo. Hall of Fame nod? Distant. Real peak. Quiet nights. His head on my chest. Waves of life lapping. Betrayal? Faded scar, strength's map. Human weave. From suspension sting to stadium songs. Love's narrative dramatic, enduring. Years layered like championship rings. My Arma legends, Bears franchise face. Elias's shelf groaning with awards. Scarlet Whispers a queer canon staple. MFA tenure at DePaul blending verse with mentorship. Our Wicker Park walk-up traded for a Lincoln Park brownstone. Fire escape intact, now with a study overlooking the zoo's distant lions. roars sinking our late-night debates. Football's brutality versus poetry's precision. Life's rhythm pulsed steady. Mornings his, brewing dreams over drafts. Mine, film rooms etching opponents. Evenings communal, dinners with rotating casts. Dad and his fishing tales. Mom's book club invading with wine and Whitman quizzes. Abuela's summers, porch storytelling under string lights. Brody, reformed rogue, barbecues with his wife, toasting to underdogs. Intimacy deepened domestic sacred. Anniversaries at Door County cabins, bonfires where we'd burn old doubts. Literally, Trent's emails ash in flames. Lazy Sundays tangled in sheets, touches evolved to telepathic, laughs lines etching joy. Conflict, inevitable tide, crested mid-decade. A crossroads call. Bears Super Bowl window narrowing. My body whispering quits at 32. Knees creaking like old stadium seats. Elias's sabbatical offer from Oxford, guest lectures on American queer lit. A year abroad. Come, he urged over wine, Thames maps unrolled. New fields. Tempting, I admitted, fingers tracing his knuckles. But Dad's health prostate shadow. And the foundation. Our nonprofit Bleacher Voices, mentoring at-risk queer youth in sports and stories. Chicago's anchor. He nodded, eyes storm-flecked. Then I stay. Us first. No, heart tugged. Go. Shine. I'll hold the fort. Tears brimmed. Like Milwaukee, distance as thief. This time we Skype sonnets. FaceTime touchdowns. Kiss sealed it bittersweet. His sabbatical launched autumnal. Heathrow hugs lingering. My solo brownstone echoing first nights. Calls bridged. His Oxford spires framing tales of punts and pubs. Mine bears bi-week blues. Dad's chemo started gentle. Mom's meals my sustenance. Foundation events swelled. Kids' eyes lighting at my stories. How'd you know he was the one? A flag, I'd say. Waved in secret. Changed everything. Winter solstice. Him home for holidays. Oxford wool scarf round my neck. Tales of high tea and hidden histories. Abuela, frail but fierce, pinned us with gaze. Absences build, not break. Mi amor eterno. Super Bowl run ignited spring. Bears undefeated streak. My passes poetry in motion. Elias flew mid-season. Oxford lectures paused. Stands his throne. AFC championship. Nail-biter. My game winner a slant to Robinson. His roar loudest. Confetti kiss cammed. Global cheer. Big game in Atlanta. Glitz and grind 100 million eyes. Pre-game jitters amped. Elias's hand in mine at the hotel. Note in my locker. For every yard. My heart. Halftime tied. Defenses iron. Fourth. Down 3. 150. Drive of lifetimes. Dinks and screens chewing clock. Then bomb. Post to Mooney 50 yards tiptoe toe tap. Field goal sales 20-17. Clock zeros pandemonium. Trophy lift. Lombardi cold and eternal. Elias vaulting podium hug seismic. Ring kiss broadcast legend. Post-game gala. Toasts to the muse and the maestro. Our dance floors whirl. Betrayal's last gasp. A foundation donor. Conservative holdover. Leaked emails. Old prejudices dredged. Queer agenda. Backlash bit. Petitions. Pullouts, but we countered fierce. Presser with kids' testimonials. Elias's op-ed in NYT. Loves the original playbook. Support surged. League allies. Lit luminaries. Donor ousted. Foundation fortified. Climax resolved. Not in stadiums, but boardrooms. Heart's high ground claimed. Post-retirement at 35. Analyst gigs blending commentary with coaching clinics. Elias's Pulitzer whisper for electric legacies. Tenure secure. Travels tandem. Oxford return. Our flat overlooking spires. Punting the charwell with punna sonnets. Abuela's passing came gentle. Spring equinox. Surrounded by marigolds and murmurs. Funeral fused faiths. Rosaries and readings. Her grave lake-viewed. Grief wove us tighter. Losses loom. Decades turn. Gray threading curls. Mine buzzed military. Foundation's national reach. Bleacher Voices chapters coast to coast. Dad's remission party. Fishing rods as centerpieces, toasts to survivals. Anniversary 15. Door County Bluff, sunset vows renewed. Rings worn thin as promises kept. From suspension to super, Elias murmured, wind whipped. Our story. Mine. Human, messy hours. Epilogue echoes. Bleacher ghosts quiet, cheers eternal. Two men from Chicago's heart. Waving flags bold, bodies electric, love's narrative unending. American as apple pie and underdog dreams.